Have you ever noticed how people say that spirituality and money just don't mix?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to Buddhism, like you always hear about giving everything up and rejecting material things.
Right.
But like, have you ever actually thought about that? Like, is
Mm.
that really the whole story?
Right. Yeah.
What if the Buddhist view on money is actually like way more complex than just rejecting it?
That's a great question. That's exactly what we're going to be diving deep into today.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the Buddhist philosophy on money and wealth and how it's actually a lot more nuanced than just a simple rejection.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting too in what we found in our research is
Yeah.
there's all these really surprising things about like Buddha's own background, and then there's this whole practical guidance on finding balance with your finances based on Buddhist principles.
Yeah, absolutely. And get this, we're going to be exploring this whole idea of karma and how our intentions play a huge role in shaping our financial well-being.
Whoa, that's powerful stuff. So for you listening, our goal today is to really break this all down. Like we want to move past this like simplistic idea of rejecting wealth to be spiritual
Yeah.
and actually understand how these ancient Buddhist teachings can give us a totally new way of looking at money. And maybe, just maybe, it can help us like let go of some of that money stress we all feel sometimes, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Money stress is so real, it can be really overwhelming.
Totally. So get ready, because we're about to explore a concept that could totally change your perspective. The idea that wealth is karma.
I love that. Wealth is karma. Let's start by talking about this common idea that to be spiritual, you have to reject the material world, especially money.
Okay. Yeah.
This belief comes up a lot, and I think it comes from a misunderstanding of some core Buddhist teachings.
Yeah, and one of the things that really hit me from our research is this whole desert oasis analogy.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
It's like we chase after money thinking it's this endless source of happiness, this magical solution to everything.
Right.
But just like a mirage in the desert, if that's all we focus on, we end up feeling pretty empty and disappointed when we actually get it.
You nailed it. It's like chasing after something that's not really there.
Right.
But the deeper part of that analogy is that just like water in the desert, money itself isn't meaningless.
Right.
It's about understanding its real purpose and using it wisely.
Which brings us to Buddha himself, Siddhartha Gautama.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This guy had it all, a prince living in total luxury. But that didn't make him truly happy, did it?
No, it didn't. And that's a really important point for us to think about. Material wealth alone doesn't equal fulfillment.
Right.
And then he went to the other extreme, denying himself any comfort,
Yeah.
which also wasn't a good solution.
Right.
That's how he came to the idea of the middle way, avoiding both extremes of indulging and denying yourself.
It's all about that balance,
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So when you apply that to money, it changes the whole conversation. It's not about choosing to be either super rich or totally poor.
Right. Money, in this sense, is presented as a tool. Like, think of it like a knife.
Okay.
You can use it to cook a delicious meal, or you can use it to hurt someone. It's the intention behind it that matters.
Oh, I see, yeah.
The intention.
So it's about how you use it, not just having it or not having it.
Exactly. And this brings us to a really cool parable about a sitar player.
Oh, yeah, I love this one.
Buddha uses this example to talk about balance, about finding the perfect tension on the strings. Not too tight, not too loose.
Right, because if they're too tight, they snap.
Exactly. And if they're too loose, there's no music. It's the same with our relationship with money. You can't be obsessed with it, but you can't totally ignore it either.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
You need to find that balance.
Mhm.
And I want to be clear here. Buddhism isn't saying that being poor is some spiritual achievement.
Okay.
The focus is on non-attachment, not rejection. It's okay to earn money and have wealth as long as you don't become greedy or clingy.
So for our listeners, the takeaway here is to shift your perspective. Money shouldn't be your ultimate goal, the only thing you're striving for.
Yeah.
It's more like a way to get to something else, a tool to achieve something more meaningful.
It is, and this is where understanding money as energy comes in.
Okay, energy.
Yeah, like energy. The sources we looked at describe everything, including money, as a type of energy that follows certain principles.
Okay, so break down this energy thing for us. What are these principles?
First, it flows. Money needs to circulate like a river. If you hold onto it too tightly, it's like building a dam.
Okay, yeah.
It stops the natural flow of abundance.
That makes sense. Like, even on a larger scale, if no one's spending or investing, the economy can stagnate.
Exactly, exactly. Second principle is intention.
Okay. intention, how you use the money.
Yeah, the energy of money is affected by how it's earned. If you earn it through dishonest or harmful means, it carries a negative energy.
Oh, that's interesting.
But if you earn it ethically and help others, it has a positive force.
Wow, so it's not just about how much you have, but how you got it.
Exactly. And the third principle is that it reflects your karma.
Karma, okay.
Your financial situation often mirrors your past actions, thoughts, and beliefs about money.
Oh, wow.
If you constantly think about money as something scarce and negative, you're basically creating that reality for yourself.
So basically, your thoughts and actions about money actually create karma, like everything else you do.
Yes, and the sources are very clear about that. Greed and dishonesty with money lead to problems later on. But ethical practices create lasting prosperity.
Right. And that leads us to a core principle in Buddhism, dana, which means generosity.
Yeah, generosity.
Yeah.
It's not just about being nice, it's a key to unlocking abundance, both materially and spiritually.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Like giving more means you'll have less.
I know it does, but think about the analogy of the farmer and the seeds. If you hoard all your seeds, nothing grows. But if you plant some, you can harvest a whole crop.
Right, you have to give some to get some.
Exactly. Hoarding, whether it's seeds or money, stops growth. But generosity starts the flow of abundance.
Right, and it's interesting that many really wealthy people are also really generous.
They are, and that's not just a coincidence. It's a practical principle at work.
And there's that famous Buddha quote, "If you knew the power of generosity, you would never let a day pass without giving something away."
Love that quote.
It really sticks with you and it makes you think. It's not just about donating money though, right?
No, it's not. Generosity goes beyond that. It's about sharing your knowledge, being kind to others, giving your time to causes you care about.
Right, it's about cultivating an abundance mindset in every area of your life.
Exactly. When you give without fearing scarcity, you're showing trust in the universe to provide for you.
That's a powerful way to look at it. And speaking of mindset, that brings us to this whole idea of breaking free from the scarcity mindset.
Ah, yes, the scarcity mindset, that feeling of never having enough, always lacking something.
Yeah, and Buddhist philosophy has a lot to say about this.
It does. The scarcity mindset leads to fear, competition, and all sorts of negative emotions.
Right.
The key teaching here is that abundance begins in your mind. Your thoughts shape your reality.
And it's interesting when you see the contrast, right? Someone can have tons of money but still feel poor because they're always afraid of losing it.
Right.
And then there are people with less stuff who feel genuinely wealthy because they're content and grateful.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at emphasize that money is like a mirror reflecting your inner state.
Oh, that's a cool way to think about it.
If you believe you're worthy of abundance, you'll likely attract it. But if you have negative beliefs about money, you create obstacles for yourself.
So it really makes you wonder, what if we changed our approach to money? Instead of chasing it from a place of fear or guilt, what if we saw it as a tool for growth, service, and something bigger than ourselves?
That's a really powerful question for all of us to consider. As we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, Buddhist philosophy encourages us to be more aware of our relationship with money.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a magnifier, showing our true character traits. Selfishness becomes more obvious, but so does generosity and wisdom.
It's like that saying, money doesn't corrupt, it reveals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really makes you look inward. What does your relationship with money say about you?
That's a deep one.
It is, and the key takeaway from this first part is that your external world, including your finances, is a reflection of your internal state. Cultivating inner abundance is the foundation for experiencing outer wealth.
So it's not just about the mechanics of money, but about aligning yourself with its true nature.
Yes, understanding it, respecting it, and using it for good.
Right.
And that brings us back to that fundamental principle. Money is karma.
Okay, so we've established that money and karma are connected in ways we might not have realized before.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, if money is neutral, why do some people seem to attract wealth so easily while others struggle? It can't just be about hard work, right?
You're absolutely right. There's more to it than just effort. The sources we've been looking at suggest that there are deeper forces at play, like karma, but also your mindset and intentions.
Okay, so more than just what you do, it's about how you think and what you aim for.
Exactly. And that reminds me of the analogy of the two farmers. One farmer trusts the process and plants his seeds, while the other is so afraid of a drought that he doesn't plant anything at all.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Same situation, very different outcomes.
That's exactly.
Oh.
And that illustrates perfectly how your internal world shapes your external reality.
Hmm.
Karma, in this context, isn't some mystical force, but the simple law of cause and effect.
Right.
Your thoughts, actions, and beliefs all contribute to your financial experiences. So the question becomes, how do you plant the right karmic seeds for prosperity?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. And luckily, the sources offer some guidance on that. They outline 3 pillars of financial karma: right view, right action, and right intention.
Okay, let's break those down. So, first up, right view. This seems to be all about how your mindset shapes your reality.
Exactly. Buddha taught that suffering often comes from ignorance, from misunderstanding how things really are.
Right.
And a big misunderstanding when it comes to money is believing in scarcity, the idea that there's only a limited amount to go around.
So, if you believe that someone else's gain is your loss, that kind of thinking.
Exactly. And if you believe money is inherently evil or hard to get, you're basically creating roadblocks for yourself. Your mindset affects your choices and the opportunities you see.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
It is. And what's even more fascinating is that both being overly attached to money, like being terrified of losing it, and being averse to it, like thinking it's immoral, both stem from the same misconception.
Which is the
Idea that money is something external and out of our control.
Oh, I see.
But the truth is that money reflects your internal state. Your beliefs are like a blueprint for your financial destiny.
So it's not just about external circumstances, but about your internal world.
Exactly. That's why people from similar backgrounds can have very different financial outcomes. It depends on whether they operate from a mindset of abundance or limitation.
And it seems like those who do well with money often have a certain respect for it. Like they understand it's a form of energy that flows.
Absolutely. They don't take it for granted or treat it carelessly.
Right. So how can our listeners cultivate this right view?
The sources offer some practical steps. First, reframe money in your mind. See it as a tool for growth and service, not something to fear or be ashamed of.
Okay, yeah.
Second, practice gratitude for the financial resources you already have, no matter how small they may seem.
Gratitude is powerful.
It is. And finally, examine your beliefs about money. Are they rooted in fear or empowerment?
That's a great point. We need to become aware of those underlying beliefs that might be holding us back.
Exactly. Now let's move on to the second pillar, right action. It's not enough to just think the right thoughts. You have to act accordingly.
Right, so this is about what you actually do with your money, how you earn it, and how you use it.
Precisely. And the sources emphasize that money carries the energy of how it was acquired.
That's interesting.
If you earn it through dishonest or exploitative means, it creates negative karma.
Okay, so how you make your money matters.
It does. But if you earn it ethically, through service, and by providing value to others, it generates positive karma.
And this ties into the Buddhist principle of right livelihood, right?
Yes, sama ajiva.
Yeah.
It's about making a living in a way that doesn't harm yourself or others.
So it's not just about the job title, but the ethics behind it.
Exactly. And right action goes beyond just earning money. It also includes how you spend, save, and invest it.
So being mindful and intentional with your financial choices.
Exactly. Ask yourself, are my money habits creating peace or stress? Are they contributing to suffering or well-being in the world?
Those are good questions to ask.
They are. And it makes you think about the difference between people who are wealthy but miserable and those who may have less but are genuinely content.
Right. True wealth isn't just about money.
It's about so much more. It's about freedom, peace, and making a positive impact.
So for our listeners, how can they start applying right action in their financial lives?
First, find work that's not just ethical, but also meaningful and aligned with your values.
Okay, so do work that matters to you.
Exactly. Second, practice mindful spending. Think about the impact of every dollar you spend.
Don't just spend mindlessly.
Exactly. And third, use your money to support your values and invest in your long-term happiness.
And that brings us to the third and final pillar, right intention. This feels like it ties everything together, like it's the driving force behind it all.
It is. Intention is like the secret ingredient to cultivating true wealth. Ask yourself, why do you want more money?
Yeah, why?
Is it for ego, control, power? Or is it to serve others and make a positive difference?
Right, your motivation matters.
It does. Because your intention creates karma. If you accumulate wealth just for yourself, it can feel empty and meaningless.
Oh, I see.
But if your intention is to create value and benefit others, your wealth tends to grow more naturally and sustainably.
That reminds me of those successful businesses that are solving real problems and making people's lives better.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
financial karma in action.
And there's that story about the wealthy merchant who seeks advice from the Buddha.
Oh, yes, I love that one.
Buddha tells him that giving is like lighting one candle from another. It doesn't diminish your own flame, it actually creates more light.
Exactly. And the sources point out that many successful people are intentionally generous because they understand the power of giving.
So giving not only helps others, but it also creates opportunities and strengthens relationships.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So aligning your financial goals with service and contribution seems to be a key principle here.
And again, it's not just about money, but about being generous with your time, knowledge, and kindness as well.
Absolutely. See wealth as a force for good in the world, something that goes beyond your own personal needs.
Okay, so to sum up these three pillars, abundance starts in the mind, money is energy that needs to be used wisely, and generosity is a catalyst for receiving more.
You got it.
And it's about shifting from how can I get more to how can I align my wealth with my highest self.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where your financial goals align with your values and purpose. And remember, money is karma.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about illusions around money, finding balance, and the three pillars of financial karma. Now, in this final part, we're going to explore what's called the final realization. This is where it all comes together.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The big realization here is that money isn't about what you have, but who you are.
Oh, that's deep.
It is. Your financial reality is a reflection of your inner world, your beliefs, emotions, and choices.
So to change your wealth, you need to change yourself.
Exactly. That's the heart of Buddhist wisdom.
And the sources outline three key areas to focus on for this transformation. The first is the law of detachment, the idea that letting go can actually bring more abundance into your life.
It sounds paradoxical, I know.
It does.
But think about it. The more you cling to wealth out of fear, the more anxious you become. And that actually blocks the flow of prosperity.
So fear and anxiety create resistance.
They do. Attachment, in Buddhist teachings, is a major source of suffering, and that includes attachment to money.
So it's about finding freedom from that fear-based clinging.
Exactly. There's a great analogy about this. Imagine trying to hold water in a tightly clenched fist.
It just slips through your fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you open your hand, the water naturally fills it.
So non-attachment doesn't mean rejecting money. It means not letting it control you.
Exactly. And how do you apply this law of detachment in your financial life?
Yeah, how do we do that?
The sources suggest a few things. First, shift your focus from chasing money to creating value.
So focus on what you're bringing to the world, not just what you're getting from it.
Exactly. Second, release fear and scarcity. Trust that wise actions will lead to positive outcomes.
Have faith in the process.
Yes. And third, stop comparing yourself to others. Focus on your own journey.
That's a big one, right? It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others.
It is, but when you let go of that obsession with money and align your life with your purpose, abundance flows more effortlessly.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, the second key area is the power of generosity. We touched on this before, but it sounds like this section really emphasizes its impact on wealth.
It does. Dana, generosity is presented as a karmic force. What you give, you receive. What you hoard, you lose.
Wow.
And those who practice generosity often experience greater wealth overall. They understand that giving doesn't deplete their resources.
Yeah.
It actually expands them.
So giving isn't about sacrificing, it's about cultivating abundance.
Exactly. And generosity comes in many forms.
Right, it's not just about money.
No, it's not. Buddhist teachings talk about three forms of generosity: material, emotional, and knowledge generosity.
Okay, break those down for us.
Material generosity is about sharing your financial resources. Emotional generosity is about offering kindness, support, and encouragement. And knowledge generosity is about sharing your wisdom and expertise.
So it's about giving in ways that feel authentic to you.
Exactly. Sharing your tangible resources is important, but so is offering love, support, and wisdom.
And it's interesting that many successful people are also generous with their time and knowledge.
They are. They understand that uplifting others ultimately benefits everyone.
So for our listeners, it's about shifting the focus from how can I get more to how can I give more?
Exactly. That simple shift in perspective can have a profound impact on your life.
And finally, we come to the art of inner wealth. This seems to be about recognizing that true wealth goes beyond just money.
It is. The ultimate lesson here is that true wealth is measured in freedom, wisdom, and inner peace. It's not just about your net worth.
And the sources often contrast wealthy but miserable people with those who have less but are truly content.
They do. Because Buddha taught that lasting happiness doesn't come from external things.
Right, those things are impermanent. They can change at any moment.
Exactly. So tying your sense of worth solely to external wealth creates a constant fear of loss.
Because you're always afraid of losing those things.
Exactly. But when your wealth is rooted in inner qualities like wisdom, gratitude, and purpose, you have a lasting sense of richness regardless of your circumstances.
So it's about cultivating inner wealth as a foundation for outer abundance.
Precisely. And the sources identify 3 forms of true wealth.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell us about them.
The first is time wealth, the freedom to live life on your own terms, choosing how you spend your precious time.
Okay, time is definitely a valuable resource.
It is. The second is emotional wealth, which is about experiencing peace, gratitude, and joy, regardless of your external circumstances.
So it's about cultivating inner peace and happiness.
Exactly. And the third is spiritual wealth, which is about living with meaning and purpose, your dharma.
So finding your calling and living a life that's aligned with it.
Exactly. When you cultivate these 3 forms of inner wealth, outer prosperity tends to follow naturally.
So it's not just about chasing money, but about investing in yourself and your growth.
Precisely. Detach from the idea that money is the only measure of success. Invest in experiences, learning, and self-growth, and seek purpose over profit.
So to wrap it all up, money is a reflection of your soul's journey. It's a neutral energy like fire or water, and its impact depends on how you use it.
Exactly. Buddha's wisdom on wealth can be summed up like this. Your financial karma is created by your beliefs, actions, and intentions.
Right, so how you think, act, and what you aim for all play a role.
Yes. Letting go of fear and scarcity opens the door for abundance, and generosity creates greater richness, both materially and spiritually.
So it's not just about getting rich, but about using your wealth for good and aligning it with your highest self.
Exactly. The real question isn't how can I get rich, but how can I create value? How can I use my wealth to benefit others? And how can I align my financial life with my purpose?
Those are powerful questions.
They are. Because true wealth is within you, in your mind, heart, and soul.
And mastering inner wealth leads to effortless outer abundance.
Exactly. That's the ultimate secret.
Right.
Money is karma.
So as we conclude this deep dive, we've explored this really interesting Buddhist perspective on money.
Yes.
It's not about rejecting wealth, but about understanding it as a form of karma that's influenced by your mindset, intentions, and actions.
Absolutely.
We talked about finding balance, the power of generosity, and the importance of cultivating inner wealth for true prosperity.
Right.
And now, as you reflect on everything we've discussed, I want you to consider your own relationship with money. What's one small change you can make in your thinking or actions based on these principles?
Yeah. What one small shift can you make today? Maybe this deep dive is just the start of a new journey for you.
Yeah, a journey of aligning your financial life with your values and aspirations.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.